Thanks, Dr. Fuhrman. Up next, we have Yaron. Yaron, looking forward to your question.
Thank you for the great presentation, Doctor. A few days ago, Dr. Eselstein in this conference recommended to avoid avocado and nuts to prevent heart disease. I would like to know what is your intake about this, and also what is your intake about raw tahini sauce? Would you recommend to use it as a sauce for a salad?
Roasted tahini sauce, did you say?
No, raw tahini sauce.
Raw tahini?
Raw tahini sauce, yeah, the ground sesame that they call it tahini.
Yeah, most tahinis are made with what are they called? Shelled sesame seeds, hulled sesame seeds. So just the white part. You're not making the tahini with the whole sesame seed. So I recommend you make your own by blending whole sesame seeds, the black or brown ones, and don't buy the commercial tahinis. But I have seen one, I think, available in the last decade. I've seen one tahini made with whole sesame seeds, but I don't really see it that commercially available. I don't even know if it's still able to buy. And as far as nuts and avocado with heart disease, I don't think there should be any more controversy or opinions being given about this, because I think that the evidence is irrefutable and definitive that taking nuts and seeds out of a diet increases risk of cardiovascular arrhythmia and cardiovascular death. There's been too many studies to demonstrate that already. How many studies does a person need to be convinced? 10 studies, 20 studies? How many thousands of deaths do you have to review before you're convinced that removing the fat out of a diet is not lifespan favorable and is not cardiovascular disease favorable? Now, that said, we all recognize that fat on the body is not favorable for your health and longevity. And you have to remove calories from your diet, and you can't overeat on nuts or eat too much avocado, and those foods have to be restricted to make sure your body fat gets low. But restricting any food so your body fat gets favorable is not the same thing as taking a whole category of foods out of the diet with some expectation that there's an added benefit from removing the calories from that category of food compared to removing calories from another category of food. We have to lower our calories to the adequate level. And I'm saying definitively that all the studies have looked at this show that lifespan, both all-cause mortality and particularly cardiovascular death, in the Physician's Health Study that looked at the type of cardiovascular death that a diet too low in fat seemed to exacerbate, was sudden cardiac death and the promotion of irregular heartbeats. So I'm saying that this idea that you're going to in some way lower your cholesterol or improve your cardiovascular health by removing the nuts or avocado from your diet is incorrect. There's no data to support that. And that I published a study in the International Journal of Disease Prevention and Recovery, was published about 3 months ago, listing all the data and studies documenting where that diets that include fat are more cardiovascular and lifespan favorable. And my career over the last 35 years, taking hundreds and hundreds of people with high blood pressure, heart disease, and other cardiovascular illnesses, and reversing their disease in every single case. Every person has been able to reverse their heart disease effectively and achieve freedom from cardiovascular, get their blood pressure back to normal, get their, I can't imagine. So with the proper way, and none of the diets, no diet is necessary to take all the nuts and seeds out of the diet. You don't get better efficacy or faster weight loss or any benefit whatsoever. There's no benefit to a diet lower in fat compared to one that's moderately higher in fat, assuming that the fat is coming from a healthy food like hemp seeds and walnuts. And I actually showed Dean Ornish a lot of that data when I wrote the book, The End of Heart Disease, and published it about 4 years ago, because I wrote in the book before I published it in the preliminary version that Dr. Ornish was recommending egg whites, but he wasn't recommending any walnuts. And I showed the data to suggest that this is contrary to the scientific literature. And Dr. Ornish changed his viewpoints, reviewed all the data, reviewed all the studies, and then at that point put some nuts and seeds back in the diet he recommends as well. So I do think that's a big mistake, but I also think a big mistake in nutritional advice that could potentially be harmful to people is not taking a DHA EPA supplement if they have cardiovascular disease, because when you move your diet to vegan, then regardless of how much omega-3 you eat or nuts and seeds you eat or don't eat, you still have a large section of the population. And we did a study that I was helped get started through the Nutritional Research Foundation, where we did more than 150 people, showing the majority of those people had omega-3 indexes below 4, and above 5 is what's ideal for cognitive and for maximizing brain function with aging. So this idea that vegans don't need to take omega-3 is also not beneficial, is advice that's too radical and not conservative enough. To be more conservative and to be more cautious in recognizing that a vegan diet, especially a low-fat vegan diet, has never been tested through the millenniums of human existence, that we have to be cautious and make sure we look at all the studies and see what's working the best and evaluate everything and not just pick the 1 or 2 things we like. And the data does suggest that if your omega-3 index gets low, your risk of brain shrinkage, it correlates with brain shrinkage. The level of omega-3 index correlates with how big your brain is later on in life, and to go around just believing that it's okay to have not to supplement that when you need to. So I'm suggesting it's important for people to either supplement or to take a blood test for their omega-3 index and know their number so they can supplement accordingly, or both. So all these things are important. And thanks for the question. Obviously, I don't think the advice you got there is ideal.
Thanks, Dr. Fuhrman. Up next, we have DF. DF, what's your question?
Thanks, Ben. Thanks, Dr. Fuhrman. I love your GPOM suggestion. I have a question about fiber. What do you think of psyllium husk and chitin in insect? I believe chitin has probably just insoluble fiber, but psyllium husk may have both soluble and insoluble. But I'd like to know your thoughts on chitin and psyllium husk. Thank you.
Well, if you're eating a healthy diet that's nutritarian, you're getting such a huge amount of fiber in your diet. I don't know why you would need to supplement with any kind of fiber. There's some rare instances that people have some digestive impairments where psyllium or chitin can be useful. But for general population, I don't know why. I don't think it's something that should be even utilized by 1 in 1,000 people. I don't think there's a need for taking more fiber than otherwise is in a good diet. Thanks for the question, though.